obviously my wife drives perfectly. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Automotive Insight. Today we're going to be taking a look at what's rapidly becoming my favorite scan tool, my go-to scan tool, and that is the Launch x431 Pro3S Plus Elite. Lots of letters, lots of numbers, lots of capabilities. Let's get into it.
So starting at a price tag of $1,500, you would expect the scan tool to do the basic functions that a $300 scan tool can do. You know, your clear codes, active test, bidirectional controls. What makes this stand out is it's got the topology. That is a nice feature to have. We have done some $500 scan tools that have it, but we're seeing more of that on the higher end scan tools. It can do the offline, online coding for some of the European stuff. This one does have power balance testing and plus a lot of other service functions available.
The VCI acts as a J device so that you can use OEM software to, say, reflash modules. It is buildable. You can add oscilloscopes and amp clamps and printers and borescopes to it to really kind of build a whole ecosystem out of just this tool. So this video, we're going to do this one a little bit differently than we've done ones in the past. Ordinarily, we go through and do the active test and the special functions and do live data and graphing and stuff. It's going to do it. If you want to watch those, go back and watch them. It's going to do all that. Instead, we're going to focus on where the price difference is between this tool and, say, the King Bolin K7 that we did. All right, so when you open it up, this is the first main screen that you get to. Before we get started on a car, we'll kind of go through some of this. Intelligent diagnostics, that is basically you're connected to the internet, and local is you're not connected to the internet. I haven't used this enough to really be able to pinpoint the difference between them, but I always just do intelligent just because I'm always on Wi-Fi. So here you have, if you wanted to do, say, program TPMS sensors, there's kind of a hot function menu of all of your special functions that you have available. Bear in mind, not every car is going to have every special function, but this is not uncommon, is to have kind of a hot function type menu here. Toolbox. Toolbox is going to be basically all of the components, the additional hardware things that you can buy in order to work with this. So there's a TPMS wand that you can get with it. ADAS is going to be a bunch of targets and stuff. Oscilloscopes. I think this is an emulator. Yeah, is what I think. Is what I think this is. Borescope, a Bluetooth, battery gauge, amp meter. There's a remote immobilizer programmer. So there's a lot of different add-on hardware that you can use in conjunction with this tool. All right, next we'll go to the diagnosis kit. This has got some kind of interesting things in it. So I'll give you a coverage list, which you can find this online. It'll basically tell you what functions it'll do on a car. Pin detect is kind of an interesting thing. It'll basically give you the voltages of all of your pins on the DLC. And there's all of your voltages there. So it takes kind of a rolling average. So this is pin 6, that's can high, and this is pin 14, that's can low. So that's why you have a little bit of a discrepancy. Obviously, this is not a live reading there. All right, so now we'll get into the car. So I'll just go to intelligent diagnosis. We're in a 2016 Toyota Highlander. One thing I will note about this that's nice is we had said that it had topology, and it does. So we've got CAN 2, CAN 1, and K line. The reason that I mentioned that bring up topology at all is because we have done cars or had tools in the past that said they had topology, but it was kind of BS topology. They would break it down into 4 categories. They would have powertrain, chassis, brake, and body, and then just put, the tailgate module was on the body. That doesn't really do you any good. This is telling you what modules are on what network, and that's going to help you out if you've got something. If say you had no comms with 3 of these modules and it's all on this CAN 1, you could go then pull up the wiring diagram for your data lines and see, those ones are all downstream of this module. I either have a break in the wire somewhere down there, or I've got a module that's just losing communication after this module, or I have a module that's taking down this whole network. So this is real topology. This is not the kind of chintzy ones that we've seen in other ones. So anyway, let's do smart detection. All right, we'll go ahead and create a report. Okay. And here is our report. This is in every Toyota ever made after about 2014 or so. So we don't have any current codes on this car. This is my wife's car. There's nothing wrong with it. You can print from here, but you have to have a launch printer. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. One thing that is pretty convenient is that you can take a picture of this, or, do the QR reader thing, and it'll pull up on your phone, and then you can take screenshots and add it to your repair order if you want to. So that's pretty nice to have. So, from here, this is pretty much like it is with any other tool. Obviously, you can go into each one, and you have all of your standard read fault codes, clear, freeze frame, data stream. So now we'll show it being used as a J2534 device. So we are in Toyota's GTS. And so let's go tell it that we're going to use the VIM setup is the launch J2534. Okay. Now let's see if it works. Bob's your uncle, 2016 Highlander. So that feature works as well. All right, so that's the basic operations. Now let's get into some things that we like. One thing that is pretty nice about this is that once you pull up the code, since this is a history code, I don't have freeze frame, but you can just click right into your freeze frame for that code. And the same thing with data stream. You can go straight to data stream from this menu. All right, so one thing that I like about this is that on a lot of lower price scan tools, you have to do a full system scan in order to basically for the tool to figure out what modules are in the car. And then once you do that, then you go into that module. Whereas on this tool, you can just go into system list and just pick, before you ever did the health check, you can just go into whatever one that you want. So let's say a car came in for let's say they put 4 TPMS sensors in a car. You can just go to the system list, go to TPMS, program your sensors, and move on with your life. You don't have to go through the process of doing the health check on that. Another thing that I like about this is that at any point in time, you can submit a correction to them. So if something was wrong, you can hit correction on this, and you can upload whatever problem you're having with the tool. This is not for cars. There's a problem with the tool. So that is always available to you. Another thing that is nice about this is you can change your units right there. This is a big pet peeve of mine, is having to usually back all the way back out of to a main menu to change your units from metric to imperial. So I like having that available to you right there. Another thing that is nice is that you can graph up to 12 PIDs at the same time. Now, a lot of tools will let you do 4, some will let you do 6. The problem that I kind of run into with those sometimes is they will usually combine all of those onto one graph, whereas here you have 12 individual graphs that are all running, so you can kind of look at whatever things you want to look at on that. So that is nice as well.
Now keep in mind, doing 12 graphs, it does slow it down.
It slows it down. Well, yeah, anytime you're looking at, the more data you're looking at, the slower everything's going to be. Another thing I like is that, let's say that you are using this as your like tablet and have, say, All Data or Mitchell or Pro Demand or something else pulled up on this, is that you can just hit home and just go straight to the internet. We had another tool that you could get to all this stuff, but you had to constantly hit back, and it was nowhere near as convenient as this. I mean, this is an actual tablet. One thing that I did think was pretty cool about this car doesn't have any data in it, but it does have it available. This is a Toyota thing. I'm sure other manufacturers do it too, but they have it's a thing called ROB data. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's like vehicle control history stuff, and so it takes notes of like quote unquote anomalies that aren't really DTC setting anomalies, but they can help you. Like if a customer's complaining that the car won't shift into gear, you can go look at this ROB data and it'll say that, hey, we detected that the shifter tried to go out of gear when the brakes weren't depressed. Things like that can help you kind of figure out customer issues. Same thing with like if you got somebody who's like 2-footing it, so they're driving with one on the gas, one on the brake. It'll tell you stuff like that. It's stuff that won't cause any check engine light codes, but it could help you find some type of drivability concern to help try to educate your customer. So those are things that we like about the tool. Now let's go on to some things that we don't like or could use improvement on.
One thing I did notice, and I have read on some of the like on the Amazon listings and stuff, talking about increased or reduced sensitivity to the screen. I have had cases where I've had to touch it, a couple of times to get it to work. I mean, that's kind of nitpicking, but it was, I don't know if you can reduce the sensitivity. I haven't found the setting for it, but it just sort of seemed like it was responsive, but it took an extra touch sometimes to get through. Your finger may be greasy or something. Another con, using the VCI, if you're using it as the J device, you have to connect to it by a cable. Now, with the tablet and this software, you can do Bluetooth, but if you want to use a different interface, you always have to have it connected. Now, if you're using a J device, you're most likely wanting to program, which every J device needs to be connected by a cable anyway. But basically, if you're just wanting to use their software, it's got to be connected by a cable. the Bluetooth doesn't connect to other hardware. Another con is the CAN scope. We do have this connected with the cable. We'll hit start. As technicians, what are we supposed to do with this? Normally, looking at a CAN analyzer or CAN scope, we're used to looking at waveform patterns. This is the data. It can be useful, or you just don't know what to use it for.
Yeah, I mean, engineers probably find this helpful. To me, I have no problem with this feature. I just feel like it should be called something else. Like this should be called CAN. Well, it says up there CAN analyzer. I feel like it should be called CAN logger or something. But this is not a scope. So that's really the main issue with that. Well, all right, guys, that's going to wrap the video up. So final thoughts. I really like this tool. I feel like if you've watched any of our previous scan tool reviews, most of the cons that I had with those other tools are fixed on this. Anything from the units to the graphing to just navigating, being able to get to and from different screens on it. I like that to me, it seems like they actually got technician input on things that they would like. So like when you pull the codes menu up, I like that you can go straight to freeze frame from there. I like that you can go straight to data list from there. Things like that make it where it just saves you that much more time when you're trying to diagnose problems.
My final thoughts for the value of it, and especially with it coming with a J device, the value is pretty good. Now, it is still growing on me. This isn't quite my favorite one, but it is probably just takes some getting used to.
The difference between the two of us is he predominantly uses the Altel, and I predominantly use launch-based products. So I'm pretty used to the launch stuff, and he's a lot more used to the Altel. The reason that I bring that up is because we're going to do another video on this, comparing this to our big Mac Daddy Altel to kind of see what the differences are between them. So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap this one up for this week. Hopefully we earned a thumbs up from you. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. We have new content for you every single week, so consider subscribing to the channel. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
May not have all your answers. Hopefully I had some. That being said, see you on the next one.
I'll pick you up at 8. You probably won't be awake. Call yourself an Uber, babe. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
I'm in GTS Plus, which, by the way, is the worst tool ever invented, ever. And this is why.
Go in a little bit more detail of just you have it connected with USB.
I'm trying to show that I can pick launch as the Vim. But this fucking thing sucks, dude.